Hi everybody, welcome back. It is now officially week 2 of our adventure in music and heart. And I, Allie, am sitting here with Irena, and we were hoping to just very briefly catch you up on some of the things that went on today. So, in our first diagnostic session, which means we weren't actually painting or actually, we didn't even really bring up Bridge Over Troubled Water at all
No.
in our first session. We just informed the participants that came, which there were 5 of them in total. We had hoped for closer to 10, but we got 5, and it was perfect.
4 in the actual beginning of the group, and 1 who came later.
Yes, 4 for the most part, and then later on an additional member, and it went well. It had some really important moments of aha for me about, well, this is something we're going to have to think about in terms of changing our vision or changing just changing some things, not in a bad way or a good way, just different, which is a good awareness to have.
I mean, part of what we have been thinking about, and I wouldn't say necessarily struggling with, but thinking in terms of what do we inform you, our audience, what's fair to our group and what's fair to you. We wanted to keep it focused upon just that we are working with people who, some of whom are older, older population. I like to say elder population. Because of both the wisdom and the fragility that people have. And we don't want to go into a diagnostic threshold right now, because we want to keep a level of suspense or a level of innocence.
Yes,
exactly. About
perfect
diagnosis.
Yeah.
And that's part of our commitment to the people who work in this.
And I think it just, for me, whenever I'm reading about the latest study or whatever it is for a specific diagnosis, that's all I'm seeing is whatever that diagnosis is. And whether it's art or music or medicine or whatever it is, I'm thinking of the diagnosis and not the person. Hopefully by talking about our group participants as the people they are and their abilities and disabilities and skills and maybe some areas for improvement or artistic, musical qualities, as that is our focus and not necessarily their health, their diagnosis in that way, I think that hopefully you as the viewer or the reader will have less of a biased kind of vantage point.
That's the word. We don't want people to be biased when they view our people's work.
Right.
We want you to be open to all possibilities.
Right.
And that's why we're withholding some of the information right now.
Yes, but it is important to know that working with the folks that we have been working with, there certainly are some challenges, and it does have to do with their physical ability at times and also their mental ability at times.
And so the diagnosis that we're looking at when we're describing the house, the tree, person, drawing a tree, drawing a person, has more to do with we're looking for what is their capability, or what are their capabilities in terms of the art.
Right. And the interpretation of it, which I love. And that is the diagnostic that we did, just so you know. We set out in a circle around the table with plenty of room for everybody. We had colored pencils, 12 basic shades, and we also just had a standard number 2 pencil as well. And we passed around paper. We didn't tell them which way to orient it or anything. We just said, take a piece of paper and pass it around, and everyone was able to pick if they wanted it the long way or the landscape way. And we said, first, we'd just like you to draw a tree. It was as simple as that. We then, proceeded to explain you can use colors, you can use pencil, you can use whatever you'd like, just draw a tree. And everybody had a very different renditions of trees, of course, as did we, because we as clinicians also were part of the group. Because as you explained so beautifully, there's just so much to being an active participant within the group rather than someone who's just kind of looking over your shoulder or, you know, judging maybe what is going on. And
also, we provide a sense of modeling.
yes.
But what we noticed today was people weren't necessarily looking over at each other's work. They were very focused upon their own work.
Absolutely. And we also noticed, too, that Irena and I have high hopes, and we really want to include so many people in this project. And I think the reality that the lesson maybe of today is having learned that it might not be possible to include everybody that we want to, and unfortunately specifically a few people who we kind of just know they have such a huge appreciation for art and music, but that this might not be the best group for them at this time, which doesn't mean that there isn't another form of this group that would be perfect for them. But in terms of this specific vision that we have, unless we are to adapt the vision, we might have to adapt the population or the choice of some of the group members from here.
And I think that will go on as we work with people throughout our whole center here.
Absolutely.
That we will be working with people with varying levels of capacity to do the arts.
Yes. And it's a big challenge, and it's also one of the greatest joys is when you're able to adapt something that you're doing to reach somebody who maybe might not have been able to do it in a way that another person was able to do it. So, just in terms of this, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
In terms of our vision and how it was as of last week's post today, what would you say is the biggest thing that you feel confident about and the biggest thing that you feel maybe trepidation or a little fearful about?
I feel confident that with some of the people, they really showed a good interest in art, a good capacity time-wise to really accomplish their art. And I think what both concerned me and perhaps even refocused me more than anything was that some people really did not show an interest in doing what we requested. Mm-hmm. And they were far more focused upon doing what it is they wish to do, which we honor and which we deeply respect. One person drew something that looked in a way like a house or a garage instead of a tree, and had not even heard the request for a house tree person, but his granddaughter who came to pick him up said that he really often focuses upon that very thing in drawing.
I love that you used the word interest. He didn't particularly have the interest in drawing it, and as opposed to the ability.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge important thing to note is that we're not running around cutting people from the project because they're not able to do something that's not it at all. It really comes down to interest. Yeah. And that's what we kind of talked about right before we recorded this, is that there are 6 out of 10 people who we've kind of thought they love music, they love art, and they've expressed, we believe, interest in the project. And 6 out of the 10, they themselves have expressed the interest. And 4 out of the 10 have had loved ones express interest on their behalf.
Yeah, which was very significant.
It is significant.
Because they were the people who we saw having a greater difficulty in focusing on the theme or on the project.
Exactly. And they are the people that we might very well create a secondary project to incorporate or have some sort of culminating project to incorporate. Yeah. Where we, and also just in terms of sheer size, are realizing it might be more manageable and make more sense if our group is at about 6 instead of 10.
Yeah. And I think we had originally planned that people would each do the whole song, The Bridge Over Troubled Water, and that they would do, like, When You're Weary, Feeling Small, When Tears Are in Your Eyes, I'll Dry Them All. We were thinking of every person doing every part of the song, and I think after today we were thinking maybe we should have each person do an aspect or a part of the song.
To start, yeah.
To start.
I think we'll really get a better feel for it when we bust out the paints and the canvas with colored pencils and sheets and simple things like well, it's not really that simple, but a tree or a person or a house. It is kind of harder to tell, but I do think you're right, and we'll really just have to see where it goes. Yeah, so I guess that's where we're at. Do you have any, what was the second part? Do you have any big hurdles or fears at this point?
I don't have fears about it.
Good.
I just actually, I had just.
I was hoping you'd say that.
I had just done a prayer group where we were talking about being aware of fear or anger or different emotions as being impediments to your growth and your spirituality. And I think that helped inspire me and that answer.
I love it. I love it.
No, I don't have fear. I just have hope about it. I think that's what it is. And belief. Belief that people will do it.
And faith.
Yeah.
And I think the more that we do this, and as each week goes on, and I'm sure we'll update you each week because we've made a commitment to do that, the people who are participating in the project outside of this room right now will also begin to really look forward to the next session.
Yes.
And process things beyond the classroom setting, and hopefully actually help inspire us to make changes that as they need to occur as well.
Yeah, I think the fact that they begin to actually do the work and get involved, that will become a familiar thing and something that people look forward to rather than the surprise of what it will be.
And then the music and the art itself becomes the driving factor, and not you and I saying, oh, it's time to do, building bridges again, let's go, but more so, hey, when, that anticipation is a great way of, I've been thinking about this, and I'm really looking forward to that.
The inspiration,
yeah,
and the improvisation and the imagination, all those things working together to help people do the work.
So for anyone who's following along at home, this week the assignment is to go grab some colored pencils or a pencil and draw a tree, and then draw a person, and then draw all separately a house, a tree, and a person. And if you'd like to submit your work to us, we'd be happy to get back to you what we were thinking about it and share with you some of our thoughts. And next time, too, we're hopeful to actually have pictures of the work that as it's being done. The only reason we don't have it this week is we're still waiting on some of the legal forms and documents and things to come in, and we just want to respect and honor everybody's wishes of who would like to be included in these public kinds of broadcasts and who would not. So it's very important, and hopefully by next week we'll have everybody's responses on their wishes for that. So we will see you next week. See you next Monday, and
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, keep the music in your heart and the art flowing. That can be our motto. All right, thanks.
Thank you.